I want us to have this discussion very quickly about dynamics of vision. Now, a vision board event, I don't think it's a fancy event because of the vision board itself. Some people are carried away with the beauty of their boards when it's finally done. The subject of vision is a very serious issue, and people who live by it live by certain ethos that literally shaping the way life is lived by such professionals of human beings. So I'd love to please draw your attention to the subject of vision very quickly. I'm going to speed through this and then we will swap. I'm not even sure if we'll run this to the end, but we'll swap our discussions and then go on to the final part. All right, so if you can see, this is probably one of the most comprehensive definitions of vision that I have seen. It's a man called George Banner put it out there many years ago. He says vision is having foresight, all right, with insights. All those in bracket, I put myself, but he just defined it as having foresight and insight with the benefit of hindsight. That's how George Banner defines vision. And I say it's the most comprehensive because it's the one definition of the subject of vision that puts into cognizance, not just seeing ahead, because that's what vision literally is in almost every definition, all right? But also takes note of where you are, all right, at the moment. And then, of course, takes into cognizance history. And vision is robust that way. Now, interestingly, if you follow the world as it relates to a 7-year cycles of a bust and bubble cycle, for those who are aware, you will know that we just began a fresh cycle rather, this 2024. The next 7 years just began. So we ended one, and it's been so for over 100 years. This 7-year cycles of a bust bubble period literally exists. It's not something that comes from the Holy Book. It's something that lives in our world as it is. So for those who are aware of history, you know really that the future, you can literally learn from the past. So we're making decisions today, that's insights based on what we know from hindsight. That defines the quality of the foresight that we have. I'm going to say that one more time. All the things that we do at this time literally is what we know by insight have from the history from our past. So in our world, we are experiencing an amazing period based on the history where we currently are and the history we've had with our world. And it's going to define how we see going into this next couple of years. All right, so we say vision is the ability to see the unseen and grasp into the, all right? And then we also talk about the fact that it is a sharp sense of sight. In other words, the ability to see beyond the natural, all right? I developed this model a few years ago and I've run it with a lot of executives around in the banking and different sectors. And it's been quite interesting. We will not be able to take time to do what we do afterwards, which is the breakdown into the practical discussions. But I just thought that it would be nice for us to be on the same page on this one. Also, the ability to perceive something that is about to come to pass. Just like I talked about this January, starting a new cycle of 7 years in our world of a bust and bubble period. In fact, people hate to hear the word recessions. But from history, we realize that most great companies are bettered in a recession. All right. There's something about a recession. There's a discipline of entrepreneurial growth and development during this sign of a recession. There are families who understand recessions. All right. For instance, a friend of mine who lives in the UK told me she bought her house during COVID. when things were a little cheap. All right. So a lot of very strategic professionals over time who have mastered history understand that when the recession happens, when things begin to look abnormal, that's not the time to literally hide your savings. That's the time to be bullish. Anyway, this is not an investment class, but I'm just saying that the ability to perceive something that is about to come to pass is what vision is also about. In other words, strong, dominant imagination. All right, that's our discussion and so far. So vision is feeling compelled to influence your environment, your workspace, your family space, your neighborhood, your community, your nation at large, your company where you currently are. All right, through the force of your ideas, your imagination, your personality, your persona. Very, very crucial. And visionary people are amazing people. So when we say something is a vision board event, it's a very important event. It's probably one of the most important events, and at a time as this, kickstarting the year. Though I'm going to hope that we can alter the timing at some point. I know we've done this January, so like it's a culture right now, but I'm going to tell you why we need to alter. It's a suggestion. So if we still want to hold it after that suggestion, then that's fine. But I'll just tell you why eventually we need to alter. So this summarizes it. Great leaders know where to go, and that's vision. When to go, that's timing. How to go, that's strategy. And then, of course, they know the people to take along with them. All right. In this case, that includes your spouse. All right. They know the kind of people they have to marry. All right. Visionary people do not even begin to just marry just anybody. That's a no-no. That's a no. That's a recipe for not fulfilling a person's vision. All right. So I love the summary of this. It's a healthy way to bring that to conclusion. And so we're going to talk about the how in a bit, but we're still talking about the subject of where to go. So characteristics of vision. Why is it so important to even be a visionary leader and fulfill this vision that we carry? I'm just going to stress on a few things, and then we will wrap up. All right. But again, we're talking about building a compelling vision for a fulfilling year. And I'm asking the question about why is it so important to build a compelling vision? In fact, the fact that we've, used the adjective compelling is noteworthy because it connotes the fact that we're aware that the vision itself that, we kickstart a year with has the tendency, the capacity, has the power to set the tone for the entire year for us, whether it's going to be an amazing year, fantastic year, or just an anyhow year, an ordinary year. So that in itself, it's a very crucial one. And what are the characteristics of such a compelling vision? Number one is the fact that it is something to live by. In other words, waking up every day, vision literally defines our everyday life, right? Defines our sleeping, our waking up, the excitement, the energy, right, that we go through the day with is a function of the quality of the vision we envisage for that year. If we don't have those pictures, if we don't see it, it might not energize us enough. All right. So vision is something to live by. All right. This for me is one of my favorite characteristics of vision, something that I live by. All right. So yeah, it inspires. This is quite important. We've talked about that. That's why we called it a compelling vision. We said we want to build a compelling vision, all right, that allows for a fulfilling year, 2024. So this is where the career mastery blueprint we're talking about begins, understanding why we need to even have that vision in the first instance, all right? It provokes change. especially in a world that is so fast changing like ours. um, I don't think any generation before us saw in their mind's eye. Well, maybe some of the very visionary ones saw the future. So many of them saw the future. That's true. But most probably will not even be able to envisage what we are experiencing now. And interestingly, we're not even began to scratch the surface yet. One of the things that determines and defines how the world literally is going to be is vision. You know that the world began the fourth industrial revolution, January 1st, 2021. So up until 1969, there was the second industrial revolution. There was the first, the agrarian, there was the industrial, which went on to about 1969, of course, with electricity and crude oil being at the center of all of that. And then we had the information communication technology era or age dispensation, which of course, that revolution started in 1969. Now, by January 1st, 2021, the world has officially, I'm choosing my words gradually or and deliberately, moved into the fourth industrial revolution. Now, it would suffice you to know that the one who literally gave us that timeline is the president of the Global Economic Summit Group in Davos. So in other words, men sit down, some men somewhere, visionary men somewhere, sit down to define the course of our world, of our future. And that's a beautiful thing. All right. So certain men started companies that we work for. Certain people have put the systems and the structure in place. It's our turn now to literally set the tone for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Literally. All right. Literally, it's our turn right about now. And this is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So leaders, professionals who understand that they have ideas and their persona, has the capacity to mold tomorrow. That's what vision literally is about, okay? That's what vision is about. I love this particular one. It says vision preserves. Vision preserves. And I kind of like to put it this way, that people who carry, great visions, who carry visions that are not self-centered, not selfish, visions that place them as influencers of their world. They don't seemingly have all the power right now to do anything and everything, but they have this, compelling understanding of their roles in this world. Know that they want to do something meaningful with their lives, while this journey lasts on this side of eternity. So that is massive. Now, I have always thought about it this way, that somehow visionary people are not supposed to die anyhow. Yeah, so it's possible for someone who is visionary to actually, die. And of course, every visionary person will die. But I use the word die anyhow. And this is why I think so. I have a feeling that the creator will keep a visionary person alive long enough to initiate his visions for a changed world, all right, for a better society. I just have that feeling. That's why I feel that someone like Dangote he shouldn't be permitted to die just anyhow. He should live a little longer because there are thousands of lives in their hundreds of thousands connected to that man. Now, I know that the company is already bigger than him, so even when he dies, it continues. All right, but imagine this. So this is a very interesting side of it, that so many people, Muslims and Christians alike, or people from other traditional religions, will gather in their homes and be praying for their bosses. That because he started a company that puts food on their table, they just pray, Creator, keep this man alive. And so I used to say that even if the creator doesn't understand the voice of Dangote, does not even like Dangote's face, at least he will like the hundreds of thousands of people praying for him because he's doing something meaningful. That's how all of us are, where we serve in our various, places of responsibility. That's what we represent. We represent hope to someone out there. We represent, yeah, and so that's why I believe vision preserves one. All right. And of course, vision is people oriented. So a visionary man is not just about me, myself, and I. A visionary man is not just about me and my family. So the vision board for the year 2024 cannot just be totally about how I'm going to enjoy my life, new clothes, new shoes, new cars, new houses, new marriage, um, a trip to Dubai, everything on the vision board is just me and myself. That's a selfish vision. And if there's any visions that have lived before now in that manner, the characteristics of a quality, compelling visionary is the fact that their visions are beyond them. Their visions include their family members, include their community, include well-being of people around them that are not so well to do. So in the fullness of time in 2024, may our lives literally bless other people. May it affect other people. All right. And so on and so forth. So that is that. And a good vision is original and not a copy of anybody else. And then I love the fact that it is also transgenerational. All right. So the truth is that if you catch a compelling vision, even if you can't exhaust it in your lifetime, all right? I just told my wife a few days ago, I said, I know that there are things we have started that we will not be able to finish in our lifetime. I can't go into details here. There are a number of things that I do with my life. I'm very aware that I can't finish it in my lifetime. In fact, when we speak to our children, and by the grace of God, I parent with my wife 3 lovely children. We're privileged to parent. We share with them now how in our lifetime we might not be able to finish everything we've started, and that hopefully they would grow to become such people who will drive those visions as well. All right, putting into cognizance that they also have their own lives to live. But even if it's not them who will drive those visions, all right, we have to understand fully well that we have to start where we start, take it to a point, and hand it over to the next generation. That's the way things are. So there are certain things in our visions, there are certain things in our mind, in our imagination, that no matter what we do, we will not be able to finish them. All right, we would lead it to a point. All right, raise the bar of influence and change to a point, but the next generation will take it. In the organization where you currently work, you will remember, and just always remember that before you got there, except it's a company that's just starting, all right, but before you came into some of those companies, people were there, people retired, people resigned, people died, people left, people migrated, people traveled out, people so, but things are going on, all right, things are going on. And so this is quite interesting. In his book, if you ever lay your hands on it, it's titled Built to Last. That's the title of the book. I just, hopefully you have a pen and barrel you're writing with. I'd love you to, every now and then I will just throw a book out there, but this one, please lay your hands on it if you are very interested in building transgenerational organizations or building transgenerational wealth or building anything that would outlive you. One of the books you need to read, I'll repeat that you need to read, is titled Built to Last. In fact, there's also Good to Great, the same author, all right? And then Great by Choice. I've called 3 books by the same author, and there's also a 4th one, Why Companies Fail. So Built to Last, Good to Great, Why Companies Fail, and Great by Choice, the same author, Jim Collins. All right, but I'm specifically talking about Built to Last now. In the book, there's a chapter where they talked about clock building and time telling. All right, if those of us who have ever come across that material, you understand where I'm going to with this, that a time teller is one who just does his job or her job, and gets paid at the end of the month. They're okay with just doing their job. While a clock builder, on the other hand, goes beyond just doing their job and um, thinking posterity. They're thinking about uh, in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years, 20 years, when someone resumes in this department, are we structured enough to allow such persons coming in to not begin to, start from the scratch? That's how clock builders are thinking. They're thinking about posterity. While some people are angry with the fact that they met a department that was not structured, therefore they will leave it like that, the clock builder, on the other hand, is saying to him or herself that, look, I didn't meet a good department, but I'm going to leave a great department behind. I didn't meet a not so good company, but I'm going to leave a great company behind. In fact, they make it a must, all right, that every day while they do their job, they are also thinking posterity. We don't have there's a whole training on that, but we don't have the time for all of that right about now. So let me move on. And one beautiful part of vision is that it commands provision. In other words, there's provision for every vision, because real visions are bigger than us. We cannot fund them ourselves. All right. And then this is beautiful. It disciplines us. All right. Vision disciplines us. It chooses our friends, chooses our wife to be, chooses our husbands. All right. It's when my wife got married to me, I was not a very wealthy guy. In fact, of the four suitors, I was the guy you call the poor guy. So there was a doctor, there was a lawyer, there was a banker, and there was one who was working in 7-Up as a manager. And here I was fresh out of school, and I wondered how I was able to win the heart of this beautiful woman. So every time I ask her that question now, she says, I didn't want to marry just because of what you had. I love your proposal. I love the fact that there was a lot you wanted to do with your life, and I wanted to be part of that. I chose to be part of your journey, not what you have. And that journey has lasted 14 years so far, and it's an ongoing journey. But what I'm trying to say is this: she was disciplined enough, all right, to allow her own vision, all right, to align with another vision. And I can't go into all the details. I plan on doing some series in the month of February that will talk about our journey, because it's a month of relationships. But right about now, I can tell you this: vision will discipline you. It will choose how you spend your money. It will choose how you invest it. It will choose what you do. It will choose what you eat. It will choose how you stop certain things and you start certain things. Vision will put pressure on you to deliver. Vision will push you. It will stress you. If vision does not push you, then it has not started. The job of a good, compelling vision is to actually compel us to comport ourselves for an enduring legacy ahead of us. So that is beautiful. It also gives us focus. All right. Beautiful thing about vision. And so you see how important it is. In fact, I don't know anybody who really wants to live any serious life who will not be talking about vision. All right. So these are some of the characteristics, and focus is an amazing thing. All right. So there's a picture here, and I know not everybody is a football player, but I'm going to use this to explain something, especially with regards to our careers actually. There is the arrow right there. The guy with the ball in football will be called a midfielder. And that midfielder is supposed to be more or less the one who will pass the ball to a striker. The guy in front, closer to the arc that you see, was more likely going to be a striker heading towards the goal. What I'm trying to say is this: the job of a true striker is not to be back at the box where the defenders and the goalkeeper is, except he's defending a corner kick. The job of a good striker is not to go where the ball is. The job of a good striker is always to go and position him or herself where the ball is going to. And right now, the world has shifted, not is shifted, has And interestingly, a lot of people still feel it is business as usual. And like good strikers, and the last, so while reading the Bao, I think it's, you must have seen something about Discovery Summit on campus. I know that I can't reach all the professionals out there, SP, I can't get to you, but one of the things we get to do now is that we go to the campuses to get our guys, irrespective of what you are studying on campus, please arm yourself with a digital skill. And we're not just saying that now, we're giving them links, getting them to prepare themselves, because the world literally is changing. And that's one of the things that vision does. It enables for strategic positioning. This word strategy means long term. All right. So when we use the word strategic positioning, we're actually talking about long-term perspective to career. Long-term perspective to career. Gone are the days when a person will sit for 35 years at the same role. Well, some people might still do it at this time, but the world is changing. This generation is the generation of the multifaceted skill sets. The multifaceted, and by that I mean that you can be an engineer who is also a great, software designer who is also master with AI, Okay, so this is that generation where I don't think one career is enough. In the lifetime of many professionals right now, you will see career swaps, you see career switching, and some of us are probably experiencing that already. Some of us are already getting ourselves prepared, and some others are afraid of what is coming, but vision doesn't keep us grounded. It's not to keep us grounded with fear. It is supposed to compel us to position ourselves for the emerging change. In fact, I'll put it this way. For many, many organizations in our nation today, in this country, there are so many things that the world is experiencing that are not yet being fully experienced in those organizations. So there might be someone in this room right now who has built some sort of cyber security skill, and yet your organization doesn't need it. This is the answer to that. It's not just about getting ready to jackpot. No, that's not even the idea. All right. And jackpot is not a bad thing. I'm one of those people who says to everybody I know, if you have a passion to get certain things done and the countries at the moment doesn't give you the opportunity to do it, then go and give expression to it wherever you can. But I'm going to say, I'm not a party to just dropping everything you do and running away just because the other side looks green. So it has to be about purpose and vision. Vision and purpose have to drive that jackpot, or else there is a problem with it in the first instance. All right. So, but having said that, I'm going to say that many of us are going to develop competence and character, develop certain skill sets that our organizations do not need now. We're going to wait for organizations where it is coming to. So just like a good striker is going to wait for the ball, you're going to build certain, and that's part of what 2024 is about. I'm telling you what my goals are already. All right. In the last 2 years, I have developed a proficiency in some digital skills, but I focused on 2. All right. And for the first time, I am getting remote jobs as a Scrum Master because I've had an amazing coach, all right, who taught me about transferring my skills to the IT world using non-IT skills. And that's what Scrum Master is about. But prior to this, in the last 2 years, I was also, mastering a whole lot around digital marketing, search engine because of where I was. Now, these are not my fields. All right. I don't want to go into details. I'm talking about things that are not my field. But because I was teaching it to young people, I realized I had to be an example of what I was saying. How to position yourself in an environment when it doesn't look like the services are needed right about now. Okay, so Helen Keller says that the greatest strategy to befall any man or woman is to have sight. In other words, to see with your physical eyes, but yet lack vision, the ability to see, and we'll define that all along. Let me see if I can round this up with communicating the vision. So when you want to communicate vision, you talk about building a strong relationship with your followers, your team. For those of us in this room, we call ourselves young professionals. We are young professionals. I don't know if you currently are heading any team, or if you're not, it's still the same. Okay, someone wants to say something, please. Okay. Will you help me with that noise, please? Okay, paint a picture of a favorable future. And this is what vision boards are about. It helps us to paint pictures, all right, literally. In fact, people write their visions down, their goals down, but a vision board is on another level. It takes whatever it is you're writing and put it into pictures, right? And so that's about communicating with yourself now, and of course, with the people around you. So if you're married in this room, you have family, you have siblings, you have friends, one of the ways to help to communicate your vision is to paint it, let people see it. All right. And that's that. So we write, yeah, right. We just spoken about that. Okay. That's another way to get it done. And then, of course, incorporate that vision into everything that you do. Like we said, vision is something to live by. That was the first characteristic we spoke about. And of course, all right, put what is important to people into that vision. That's if you're leading a team now, drive the people. Okay, then it will be nice to just, so I just literally ran a whole model from our leadership school with you right about now in this couple of minutes. So how do you receive your vision if you don't have anyone? Number one is to look up, and by look up, look at the creator. All right, in the holy book, it says you should ask and you will, receive. You will hear great and mighty things you do not know. All right. So if you're not a person of faith, you still know that there is a creator out there, except you don't believe someone created you. All right. So this is what this is about. All right. So put that into perspective and connect with the creator. And so that's where meditation comes in. This is not just praying religiously without thinking. This is where you connect with your heart to find out. This is where you do a SWOT analysis with yourself. All right. So, of course, that's the second one as well. You look within. And at this point, you are taking inventory of your strengths and weaknesses. All right. There's some of us who went into engineering who probably could have done well at some other places. There's some of us who are doing other things. So for someone like me, for instance, I am currently in the human capital development space in HR. All right. And also sales. Those are my primary domain in terms of my career. But of course, I've made career swaps into shifts rather into IT and what have you. And I know very, very well that those people who knew me right from secondary school will be wondering why I'm not practicing an engineer. For instance, I have a background in geology. All right. Why are you not practicing? What did you make that switch for? I made that switch because ultimately, when I began to take inventory of myself, I realized that the best use of the skill sets, the ability, the talent, all right, the passion I have is to mingle with people and not to be on the field. Now, I have worked very briefly. I've been on sites. I've done quite a bit on drilling sites. All right. But I wasn't finding fulfillment there until, in fact, while I was there, I will be distracting others because I'll be talking to them. So I'm saying this is what, taking an inventory of yourself is all about. Look within. And then, of course, there's also look behind. This, again, is about looking at your past. What passion did you leave behind? All right. You can also still connect with that. Then there's one more. It's not on the slide right now. It's looking around you. All right. When you look around you, please take note of this. The problems that are very, very yours to solve will call on you. That's the easy way to explain it. And you will feel very compelled to be connected or drawn towards certain societal issues, all right, that you feel very compelled to solve. Let me give you an example. I was driving one weekend, one day with a set of young friends, all right, and then we drove past a dustbin and somebody begged us to stop. So I stopped the car not too far from the dustbin. He went down. We have always known that he loved to talk about dustbin, but that was the first time we really saw his love for it in action. So he went to the dustbin and analyzed what he was seeing. Then he came back to the car and said, there's so much money in the dustbin. That's what he said when he came back into the car. He said, there's so much money there. He said, there's so much money there. He was just saying it over and over. Anyway, long and short is he had to go do something about it. This is somebody who had a very, interestingly, his university background didn't go in that direction, but he went to Scotland and went to do something about waste to wealth. And then he's been moving around ever since then. Now you can see the country hasn't gotten to a place where his skill set is needed. But it was part of the things I said to him many years ago. Go and develop competence and wait for your nation where your nation will eventually get to. All right. So that is that. So that's about looking around. And then one of the easiest one to do is to literally, get on someone's team and help them. All right. Serve them. Thank you for that. If you have a question, please kindly drop it and we'll respond to it right about now. So that's one of the easiest ways. Now, please don't get me wrong. I know you have a job, but the callings of a human being is much more than just a job. I know you know that by now. So in the fullness of time, there are many things you're going to be doing beyond your job. In fact, some of us right now are doing things beyond our jobs. Let me give an example. You're here in this room. You currently work with your company and you have passion for fashion designing. How do you mix that? Where did that come from? Yorubas will say kilagbe. I mean, I'm an engineer. I trained as an engineer. Where did this passion for fashion, for food, for music, for poetry, where did that come from? Why am I like that? Why am I wired like that? Nobody should push such things away. So the fact that I have a degree from school and I'm employed in a certain place that has considered my degree does not push away the fact that I'm wired to do great things. All right. I write materials now. I do books. In fact, I do certain things that I didn't even ever believe I'll be doing right now. All right. Because growing up, I was told in fact, I was told I was foolish. All right. My biological father used to tell me that. Say you're good for nothing, you're stupid. I used to wonder if it was my dad. But of course, ultimately, when I started doing the things I'm doing, when radio stations were inviting me, he was watching me on TV, seeing me on newspaper and all of that. Then all of a sudden, he began to say, I'm proud of you. All right. So I didn't know why he didn't spot that. The fact that I was not in natural science and that I wanted to be in arts, and that made me dumb and stupid and not liked. All right. So I need you to understand really that there are many, many things to do with life. And one of the easiest ways to really find out your own is to go to someone who looks like where you're going and serve with them. So you can be a volunteer. I need to mention this right now. Corporate America found out that many, many years ago, the big boys in industry, in different trades and crafts, especially the management guys, were making so much money, but they found out that these guys didn't have a soul. In other words, they didn't have a heart. They had wealth, they had panache, they had a great sense of making money. They were good at what they did at their jobs and their corporate life, but they didn't have a heart. They were soulless. And I don't know who invented that idea, but they made it compulsory that executives should begin to work in volunteer organizations. I think it was a project that was run for a bit of a time. And they found out that as people did that, they began to connect with their human side again. So I'm saying this because sometimes, and for those of us who don't volunteer, oh, okay, the new economic cycle that was okay, I'll come to that in a bit. Thank you. All right, so that single project they did made a lot of the guys begin to connect with their human side again. They weren't just about buying expensive yachts, private jets, and so some of them began to donate to charity, which they weren't doing before, and all of that. I'm saying we don't need to. In fact, in this part of the world, there's so much poverty. To volunteer to be part of a soup kitchen that feeds the poor, to volunteer or to finance a group of young guys who are willing and able to teach children, on the streets how to code, how to do graphic. I once told a young guy, I said, you can start with what you have. And he used his laptop to start a coding academy in a place called Ugborekoko in Warri. All right. He started a coding academy. He began to teach not just coding, he began to teach other soft skills, graphic designing, web designing. He started with one laptop and 4 young guys off the street. It's an amazing thing. And of course, it went on to be a beautiful project altogether that a lot of us began to be part of. This question, literally just straight to the point. So in the Holy Book, there's a story about, for those of us who are people of faith, you probably have heard this story of a young man called Joseph, who eventually was able to interpret King Pharaoh's dream and spoke about the lean cattle as 7 years of drought, of nothing, and then the fat ones are 7 years of plenty. And okay, I don't want to go into details, but you see that 7-year cycle. We found out that it was not just for the Holy Book. It was not just a fairy tale. It has been like that on a global scale for over 100 years. 7 years of bubble, we call it bubble when there's prosperity and plenty, and 7 years of bust when, of course, the reverse is the case. And it's always like that. All right. Now, this is an election year in America. If not for that, by now, all right, America would have been in a free fall, outblown recession. So their bank of reserve or their reserve bank is doing all they can to ensure that, Uncle Joe or Grandpa Joe, in this case, because that does not look bad on paper and in the public. All right. So in an election year like this, everybody wants to appear good. If the things look bad, all right, you can tell the Democrats are going out in grand style. All right. And so that is why, if not since last year, everybody was aware this is already hitting. This is already hitting hard. So the recession we saw some some years back, it's coming in full circle, just around the corner again. And so the outlook on a global scale tells you, no matter what happens on a global scale, please be prepared for it. Some people of faith always refuse to understand that no matter how optimistic you are, one of the beautiful sides of a great visionary is that you must also have some level of pessimism. So we call you an optimistic pessimist or optimistic pessimism. In other words, you are having balance. So yeah, you are planning for a great year, but you need to be asking the other question. What if something goes wrong? If you don't ask those questions, you are not a normal human being. You are a human being who is just blinded by only the positives. We know very well, for those of us who are here as professionals in our organizations, we know when we plan for the downside of things. If we're not doing that and those things happen, it means we'll be met unprepared. Painfully, some people have their goals for the year, have their vision board with only beautiful things, but they don't have the understanding or the discipline to ask the real questions about what if something goes wrong, all right? What if there's a boss? Just like on the inauguration last year, when our president took over and announced that, the longer fought over subsidy was gone. And then, of course, fuel prices increased immediately. And most people didn't see that coming. We didn't see that coming. Some of us have already said this naira will get to 1,000 naira at some point. So some of us were prepared for it. Some of us began to buy the dollars and store our currency in the dollars. Some of us did that. Some of us probably in this room, listening to on this call right now, did that. That's what it takes to be proactive. All right. Many, many years ago, Shell Petroleum and Company was one of the very few companies who did what we now know as scenario planning. All right. Something that many business schools around the world have begun to do. They called what they knew as futurists. Futurists who were good at creating scenarios of the future. And they asked them a simple question. How will the oil and gas business be in the next 50 years, in the next 20 years. And these guys came up with scenarios, not one scenario, not two, not three scenarios. They came up with some of the worst case scenarios. All right. Let me say this to us. For those of us who know Shell and know about Shell, I know this is your industry, you know very well that Shell is one of the very few oil and gas companies that was proactive enough to begin to get into green energy already, investing in it. That thing was not a fluke. That thing you see was the result of research that was done many years ago that Shell paid for. All right. Something that many companies are beginning to copy right now. And like I always say to young individuals, when you see great companies doing great things, we can apply those great things to our lives as well, because our lives are our company. You incorporated. All right. So if Shell could do it many years ago, Rume Daniels should sit down and have scenarios of the future and have strategy sessions and not go where the ball is, but go where the ball is going to. What do I need to do to be relevant in the next 20 years? Those hard questions. I beg the professionals in this room, listen on this call right now, to ask those questions and be deliberate. Interestingly, no matter, it is the answer to that question that made my wife and I take certain decisions. So even if you are studying maths and English in school and you're studying social studies in school, it doesn't matter. All right. When you come home, there are certain things you need to learn. We learned that from a book. With all due respect, this is not about making you feel bad. I'm going to recommend a book titled The Jewish Phenomenon. Now, it's about understanding the race of a particular race called the Jews. Who are they and how have they been? I don't want to go into details, please. I beg you. I'm not going to beg you again. And thank me later. When you see me in the airport, see me anywhere, thank me later for recommending this book to you. It's called The Jewish Phenomenon. I think that's Michael Spielberg or something like that. You will see it. All right. So in chapter one, I was just reading chapter one for the first time in my life when I got that book. And then I found out that Jewish parents will send their children to school. And when they got back from school, they had another syllabus that was waiting for them. So they had the one every child went to school to learn. They had the one that was waiting for them at home. I don't want to go into details. I'll stop there. But one of the attitudes they had was this. The Jewish mother could tell his son, or her son rather, or daughter, look, you see that guy? He's your classmate. He wants to work in the bank. Well, what you're studying in class is going to teach you how to work in a bank. What you are learning at home is going to teach you how to own the bank. Now, those are two mindsets. I was just imagining the day I read that thing. Imagine me being in a class with a Jewish boy at age 10, and the boy is coming from home, and his father has told him, Rume will be your staff. Yeah. While you're laughing and smiling at this, that's exactly the picture. All right. The title, chapter one says knowledge is portable. All right. I can't go into details. We don't even have the time. But it's an amazing material. Please read it. Read it. And you know exactly why we're talking about scenarios. I think I have gone a little beyond what I expected to share on that. Thank you for that question. It was quite important that you asked that question. Vision without execution is not good. So I think I'm going to stop this particular and see in the next few minutes what I can do with this one. Okay. Now, I know very well that we don't have a lot of time. In fact, I'm not going to okay, I think the question on how to get the recording will be answered when we're done. I believe this is being recorded because it informed us. So if you're an SPA member, you should be able to get it in your email, I believe. So I think that's something that shouldn't be a problem at all. You'll get the link, all right, from the cloud where it's being stored, and then you can listen to this again. All right, so that is that with that. Good, thank you. So that answers that. So be uploaded. A beautiful vision board is a waste of time and energy if thanks. A vision board is a waste of energy if all you do is look at it, admire it. All right. Some of us have mastered the act of driving our lives through that board, but some people haven't. Some people start the year great with these vision boards, with these goals, but somewhere along the line fizzle out. So on a scale of 1 to 10, right there in the chat room, I'd love to know, please, please don't lie about it. If in fact, it's better not to respond than to lie about it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how will you say you've done with your goals? You know, let's just take 2023, the last 12 months. How did you fare? So scale of 1 to 10, just do something, all right? I'd love to see very quickly in 1 minute, in 1 minute, in 1 minute. Okay, good, good. So we're seeing a 4. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you. All right. Good. We're seeing a 4 as well. People can thank you for that. Okay. If I could get 1 or 2 more, that'll be fine. We have about 40 plus people in the room. It will be nice for a few more of us to just respond in 30 seconds. Okay, this is probably the most sincere. Thanks for that. Okay, good. All right. That's exactly why wherever this gets stopped, I'm going to stop there, but it will be unfair to speak about this and not talk about this. So for starters, I just want to point you in the direction of balance. So a lot of people know how to set their goals for their career and finances, but other areas of their lives suffer. So we have very successful businessmen and career people who don't have a healthy family life. We have very successful professionals who at some point in their journeys begin to lose their health because they were not disciplined enough to manage that deliberately and consciously on time. And that's some of the dangers of being blessed and not having the discipline to manage the blessing. All right? Yeah. Yeah. So some people have goals for their finances and their careers, but don't have goals for other areas of their life. It suffers. And so I want to just quickly speak to that balance. Hopefully in 2024, we can scale up our goal in terms of execution from 1 to 3 to 2 and all of that. All right. I'm going to say something very, very quickly before we move on. So let me take on my sister Jennifer. I believe that's a lady. 1 means that you tried. And so that's not 0. All right. And that's beautiful. Beautiful, because every person who tried is better than the person who never tried. And that's the beautiful part of it. All right. But if it has been 1 consistently for over a couple of years, the question will be why. So let's see if we can answer that question very quickly. For which of you desire to build a tower? I'm quoting verbatim the Christ. All right. Does not first sit down to count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it. All right. I don't need to go where this came from, but this is a very powerful question, right? Great visionaries have had terrible marriages. Yes, yes. Beautiful. Thank you. Very true. Agreed. And that is also very interesting. Tell you how those people have invested so much in building something else, but marriages failed. All right. It's failed a lot. In fact, it's failing more in our generation now. All right. And this is not just about not even planning for it now. There's much more. The tolerance level, the resilience level is dropping by the day, and there are reasons why. All right, we don't have the time to go into all of that. A goal is the object of a person's ambition or effort, an aim or desired result. Yes, so we have that we have that written down. We have that set. And success is the achievement of worthwhile goals. Basically, that's the summary of what success is, right? Where do goals come from? Goals come from two places. Number one, from our mission, and number two, our vision. So we have vision, but we're talking about vision. But vision in itself is not isolated. Vision is connected to a mission. And that's what we call purpose. That's the reason for a person's existence, the why a person exists. All right. So a mission defines a purpose, it defines why we are on earth. But the vision, on the other hand, extends that mission to an ideal future. In other words, it takes it into size, quantity, and so that's it. It takes it and extends it. I'll give you an example. 5 people in this room might say, I have a passion to educate young people. One person might just say, I will just teach 10 children on my table every day for the next 5 years. That's the extent to which he wants. So I have a passion to educate children. That's a mission. I'm going to take 10 people every day on my dining table. That's you extending that mission to a vision for the next 5 years. So the next 5 years, I would have taught people how to read and write. That's a vision. Another person takes that same mission and says, I'm going to start a nursery and primary school. That's extending that mission of educating children and extending it by vision to set up a school. So one says, I'll do it on my dining table. Another one says, I'm going to start a school, put a structure around it and fund it. Another one says, I'm going to not just start a crèche and a nursery school, I'm going to start a secondary school. That's extending, that's vision now. Another one says, I want to educate, I'm also sent to the earth to educate children, but I'm going to do it to university level. Another one says, not only will I do it to university level, I'm going to open a research center so that I can find the cure to certain diseases. Are you seeing how one mission with 100 people can be extended in 100 different ways? Yeah, that's exactly how that is. How does that link to the goal for each year? It links to it because mission bets vision, and then vision bets our goals. It's as simple as that. Why is this very important? The vision board for 2024, it's not a conclusive document in itself. I will repeat that again. Vision board 2024 is not a conclusive document for 2024. A vision is a lifelong expression or extension of one's mission. In the fullness of time, when all is said and done, let it be that we fulfilled our years on the earth by doing the things we said we would do. But how do you take a 50-year plan, a 50-year vision? How do you take a 20-year vision? How do you make it worthwhile? You bring it into a yearly goal. A yearly goal or yearly goals actually are an expression of how we want to exert ourselves through discipline to achieve the vision. How do you finish a bowl of eba? By taking it one at a time. How do you finish a plate of rice? One spoon at a time, one chew at a time, one bite at a time. Exactly. Vision is too big most of the time. That's why I said earlier that most of us will not conclude that vision in our lifetime. That's why I said one of the main characteristics earlier, if you remember, is that vision is also transgenerational. In other words, it can live hundreds of years. Some of the companies we know today have lived for hundreds of years, all right? In fact, Tribune newspaper is 50-something years old now. I don't know any company started by a Nigerian that has lived up to 100 years, all right? We have companies in Nigeria, including First Bank, that have lived over 100 years, but they are not started by Nigerians, all right? But companies started by Nigerians, owned by Nigerian families, have not lived fully up onto 100 years, and it's been painful. It really shows that our people were not very visionary, all right? They will use the profits to marry more wives and buy more cars and build more houses, and then the company fails, all right? But there's a new breed arising now out of the professional space, out of the marketplace, out of our companies, out of our universities. there's a new read through understanding now fully well that this thing is not about me. Remember, vision is people oriented. All right. Vision is having a sense of, being able to make a difference on the earth. I feel compelled to make, and so it's beyond me, basically. All right. And so that being said, goal setting, therefore, involves development of an action plan. So please, you will notice, I'm going a little step further. This is not just about the board. It's not about the pictures you paste. It's about writing. So while you are putting the pictures, remember the pictures are pictorial explanations of what you want to achieve. You need to have your diary or a notebook. I usually recommend that you should get a 40-leaf notebook or a hard copy notebook for each year for this purpose. Don't write your vision in a general notebook. Just know that this is a vision notebook for each year. Every year have a vision document, and that's it. So the goal setting plan now, remember where we started? This one, he that wants to build a skyscraper must first sit down to count the cost. So that sitting down process, that planning process is goal setting. That plan, and we said it earlier, that one of the beauties of a good vision is that it inspires us. Look at it right there. Designed to motivate and guide a person or group of, okay? And of course, it's a process that starts with careful consideration of what you want to achieve and ends with a lot of work. All right, a lot of work has to follow. All right. I would really love to see a few answers. I have answers, but I have to take it off the screen. Why goals fail? Why does someone start the year excited about their vision board, but by April, they are not following through? The energy to go through, continue as fizzled out. Why does somebody start at the gym early in the year trying to burn some weight and happen to gain a little more before mid-year? They gain more than they were planning to lose. Why does someone who says, I'm going to master coding this year, is now months behind his schedule? Why? Why does that happen? Why does somebody who says, I'm going to write a book every day, chapters every day, so I can finish my book by April or by May or June, and then by June, they're just at chapter 1 where they started? Why does someone say, I'm going to read the Quran or read the Bible, all right, and find out that at some point in mid-year, when they are doing a mid-year review, they have not been faithful at studying the Holy Book? How does anybody do that? Why does someone say that I'm going to spend more time with my children, do homework with them, bond with my kids? But we don't do that. When we get home, we're watching the Champions League, the Premier League. We're more interested in other things, but we're not supporting. Why does someone say that I'm going to invest time doing great things with my family, and they don't have the time for that? How does somebody say, this year I'm going to sign up for a professional course, but by September, they never even paid for that course? Or some people that I know who paid for the course never even took I know people who sign up for courses and don't even start the course. I know people who buy books and leave the books on their shelves and in their houses. It's just lovely. Oh, I have that book. That book, I have it. Good to great, I have it. But they never read it. How does that happen? And so, oh, thank you. Unachievable targets. Beautiful. Thank you. Adenigo. Thank you for that. Yeah, there's so many you could have. Unattainable targets. Beautiful. Poor planning. Yes, that's the key right there. Lack of focus, poor planning, losing sight of one's vision. Thank you. When your goals are unrealistic, yes, that's unachievable. Just like Adeniga said. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this in. So they're endless. They're endless. But you see that poor planning, it starts right there. So let's see something about that, because it's really a few things we can do to make sure we have a fantastic year indeed. The failure of a goal is actually a failure of vision. As simple as that, because we've already established the fact that a goal does not exist in isolation. A goal is an extension of the vision that we have. In fact, a goal is the small part of the vision. So when we fail in achieving our goals, we are failing at achieving our vision, basically. For goals, when we set them, we take control of our lives. When we set them, we have benchmarks that determine whether we're actually succeeding or not. This is a beautiful thing about goals. When we set them, we give ourselves focus. When we set them, we have measurable progress. When we set them, we stay motivated, especially when the goals are properly set. All right. And then many of us who have procrastination issues can break the cycle of procrastination by goals. That's the truth. All right. I'm a sanguine. And if you are a sanguine too, all right. Again, I think this will be the third material. Let me recommend Why You Act the Way You Do by Dr. Tim LaHaye. Many of us have seen this book or probably started it and never finished it. This is a good time to read it. Amazing book. It will tell you about the 4 major temperament types. Remember when I talked about looking within? Yeah, one of the books that helps you look within is that book. All right. In fact, it's one of the books that while you're reading, some of us will be wondering why you never became a musician or a fashion designer, or why you never became an art student. In fact, when you're reading that book, some of us will see why sometimes you're waking up on Monday morning, you're angry to go to work. Because some of us got into certain careers because we're compelled. Not everybody who's an engineer actually enjoys engineering, and that's the truth. That's the truth, the plain truth. I know doctors. In fact, I have a protege right now who is a great doctor. He was my personal doctor in my hospital at Capitol Hill. But I tell you right now, they call him tech doctor because he's currently now pursuing the dream he had of, he wanted to go to computer science. And now he's doing coding, he's all manner of things. He's now serving his medical field with tech. He's more into tech than he's a doctor. He's always ready to hand over he has not resigned yet, by the way, but he's following his passion right now. So basically, I'm saying that one of the ways to understand your person is to read that material, all right? And of course, for the 4 temperament types, the one that is predominantly a procrastinator is the sanguine. And I am one of those sanguines that used to procrastinate until, of course, I began to understand myself and began to help me go through that. All right. One of the benefits of a goal is that it turns a nobody into a somebody. That's what J.C. Penney said with this. So if you've read it, you can see clearly. All right. J.C. Penney was simply saying, when you have goals and you execute them, somebody who was looking like a nobody can become a somebody. That's the summary of my story. This J.C. Penney quote right here. That's the summary. I can't go into all the details, but for the first 7 years of my life, I never knew my father, and I lived in one room with my mother in Agbo in Ibadan. I was face me face you 4 hours. I can't go into all of the details. By the time I met my dad by 7 in University of Ibadan, it was a veterinary medicine, University of Ibadan. I met him at 7, stayed with him till I was, 13, 12 going on 13, and all of that. It was within those 5 years or thereabout that I had some of the most mental abuses that made me depressed for a long time. But then I met a mentor who began to mentor me, and he gave me books to read. The moment I began to be guided, the moment I began to be guided properly, all right, my life took a fresh turn, took a new turn, it took a new dimension. I don't want to go into all of the details so that it doesn't look like I'm just trying to say things. But sometimes what we're saying, we need to also have a way to, pushing those results that we've experienced, or else it's just as if I'm teaching you theory all the way, but I've seen this happen in my life. All right. So there are 6 principles, and let me see how fast we can cover those principles, and then I will close today. Okay, these 6 principles of how to achieve a fantastic year with our goals is what I want to share. I know we are recording. For those who can't capture all the information in writing, you get the audio or video much later, and the slides are there on the video. So the first principle is that goals must motivate you. So in other words, you must set goals that literally stretch you. Yeah, we've heard about this before. So you must be careful not to set too big a goals that are not realistic, but at the same time, make sure you don't set a goal that you are comfortable with. So let me give you an example. If you're slightly obese, and well, if you're not even sure if you're obese, if you don't know, you need to go to the hospital and ask your doctor if you're obese. So immediately after the Christmas, this last December, I went to see my doctor just for a routine checkup. I was not sick. I just went. And I asked my doctor a lot of questions. But before I got to him, my nurse took my weight on the scale, which is the thing they do. And I realized that during the Christmas, I had added 2 kg to my weight because I had dropped my exercise routine. All right. And I had eaten quite a bit uncontrollably. All right. I just enjoyed the season. I was with my father and mother-in-law. We're enjoying ourselves out. So 2 kg, 2 kg. I'm not a short guy. I'm quite tall. I'm about 6 foot. And so I checked my BMI. My BMI said that I was slightly overweight. That's all it told me. In fact, I saw it on the computer while the lab. So I went into the doctor's office, Dr. Sonny, armed with that information. And I said, please see my BMI there. Usually they don't check my BMI, but look at what. He said, oh, it's good to check. Yeah, okay. But by this scale, you are already aware that you cannot be obese. All right. And he began to explain why it was not good. All right. Of course, I'm aware. I understood. So guess what? From that moment, I stepped out till this moment I'm speaking to you. Not only have I shed those 2 kg, but I made up my mind to go for 6 kg, and I wanted to drop those 6 kg in less than 4 weeks. It was my goal. It wasn't something I was going to spread across the entire year. I just needed to drop it and then maintain a healthy habit. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because sometimes when we are setting our goals, we don't even know what the price is. So it's not motivating us. Here I wanted a healthy BMI. I wanted to slim down. My wife was begging me, please don't slim down. You look good the way you are. I said, please, go and check your own BMI too. All right, she's a very healthy BMI. I said, I don't have that luxury of you. I have to be disciplined to watch mine. All right. Good health does not jump on you. It's not a gift of the spirit. It's something you work at. All right. Sorry, I don't know how to explain that beyond that. So someone is living a terrible lifestyle and is praying to God to keep him healthy. That's abdicating responsibility to a good, healthy life to the Creator who has given us wisdom to give him a break. It's not everything that one has to pray about. Simple understanding, and then we are healthy. So that for me was it. If you don't set your goals right, it will be motivating. And then, of course, there are 12 models for goal setting. We're only going to talk about 2. And we're talking about the first one now. It's a SMART goals model, which all of us already are aware of. We're dealing with those in our organizations. All right. If I just ask you to write the acronym of SMART, you give it to me right away. It's just a reminder. All right. That our goals must be specific, that our goals must be measurable. All right. That our goals must be attainable. When you set a goal that is unrealistic, it is not attainable. It can discourage one. A 17-year-old person told me he set a goal for 2024 to build his first house. I said, that's unrealistic and that's attainable. Then he said, don't you believe in God? I said, I believe in God so much so that I know that if he gives you a house at 17, he has given you too much that you can handle. And then another one at 24 told me, he's just getting out of school, still looking for his first job, fresh out of NYC, 2 years, and he's saying 2024, he wants to buy a Range Rover. I said, may God not give you that Range Rover. The tire alone is, what am I even talking? I said, may God not give you a kind of blessing that will destroy your life. It's not necessary. It's not. So that's not attainable. It's not attainable. So I know you are in the workforce. I know you might be able to get your house done in the next 1 year or get a Range Rover in the next 1 year, if that's your goal. But remember, it has to be attainable. Don't overextend it. All right. Don't overextend it. And then I love this one. The fact that your goal must be relevant. In other words, set goals that are relevant to your life's journey. To your life's journey. Please don't be everywhere. Your goal has to be connected to, it has to have some traction. Your goal this year, some goals are new, but many goals that you are setting are also a continuation, a continuum of your life up until now. All right, so it has to be relevant. You can't be saying, for instance, except your goal is to switch careers to become a nurse. You can't be talking about buying nurse textbooks if you don't want to be a nurse, or going to go and start a nursing career. To what end if you don't plan to have a career switch to nursing? So I think that's a basic example. All right, that is that. And lastly, it has to be time bound. Put accurate dates on your board, on your writing. Put accurate dates. All right, accurate date. I don't need to explain this too much. We've done this over and over before now. So set goals by writing them. Please don't just assume anything. Write the goals down. Write it, make it clean. Please don't just stick on your cardboard. Don't just use your cardboard alone and your gum and your lovely. No, that's not it. Ensure you write. Write also. Please add a writing to whatever it is. That's why I said that earlier. All right. And then make an action plan. All right. And then, of course, you stick with it. Okay. And goals are achieved in a day and not, goals are not achieved in a day, they're achieved daily. All right. So here is the thing about the second model. I said there are two models. This is the second one. It's called the wheel of life. And the wheel of life, I stumbled into it years after I've been practicing a certain goal setting strategy. I used to set goals around 7 areas of my life. I've done that for about 15 years. 7 major areas of my life. And then I stumbled on the wheel of life, I think within the last 3 years or so. And I got very excited. And it really does cover those 7 areas. All right. And I'm going to show you those 7 areas in a bit. So you see yourself there. You see your personal development goals. You see your health goals. You see intimacy with family, with spouses, with children. You see recreational goals. I used to call those recreational goals, where you have fun and social life. See career goals, you see financial goals. Now, if you take note of the wheel of life, it pushes career and finances even to the base. All right. So career is good. Career is life. It's what gives the man his ego. It's what gives the lady her fulfillment. It's what gives any human being, whatever your hand finds to do, you're doing it well. But as powerful as that is, career can be miserable at some point if you don't get some things right. So let me put it this way. My father and I became very close friends, of course, after many years of living like Tom and Jerry. And one of those days in our mentoring session, I had gone to UI to visit him. I asked him, Daddy, if God gave you about 30 years in time to go back 30 years to do your life differently. I said, what will you do differently? I said, how are you going to take the same path, this career path? Will you do this thing? He said, no. He said, man, nobody has ever asked this question before. And just looking at it, there's so many things he would do differently. And guess what? Was that I had my dad talk this way. My dad had 4 different women in his life, married each of them properly, and divorced 3 of them properly. So I called him a serial monogamist because every time he was ready to get a new woman, he divorced the other one. And when I say divorced, he would go and return their dowries to their families. He did it well. At no, so he was not a polygamist, but that's being said. So he had a number of us. And my mom was the third, and I'm the fourth and the only son of my mom's four children. All right. And here I am, I'm sitting as one of the youngest children because my stepmom, who was with him at the moment, had my three younger ones. And so from me, I'm privileged to have three younger ones, but a lot of senior ones. So here's the thing. I'm sitting with him. This is somebody who had not had a good relationship with me for many years, and I'm beginning to grow that relationship. I'm asking him this question, and the revelation was this. I'd read before that when people are dying, they don't, they don't, they don't regret. In fact, the regret is not about how much money they made or didn't make, or the cars. They're always regretting that they never had to spend time with their families. All right, I've read about those things, I've read books, I've seen movies like that before, but here I was with my father, living. He wasn't dead at the time, living. And the one thing he could say to me was that the first time I would do is treat family right. I said, how do you mean, sir? Then I could have sworn that I saw some tears drop. At that point, I didn't know what to make of that. This man never cried, never cried. And he was literally in tears. It's a moment that till I go to be with God, I would never forget that sight. It brought cold on my body. There was goosebump. Just talking about it right now, emotional about that experience. Because at that point, that was the first time my father was vulnerable before me. And I can tell you, it was like an eureka moment for me. It told me where priorities should lie. He said, son, you married one wife, right? Please treat her right. Then he spoke on Robo. And then he spoke up again and warned me. I warn you, don't make the same mistake I made. I said, yes, sir. And then he began to pray. He said, may you not make the mistake. It was that serious. He said, all these children are burden to you. All these wives, were they burden to you? I didn't have to go into details. The guy didn't want to ask. I could see his eyes. So I knew what was happening. Wheel of life. Wheel of life. When I saw this, I knew that there's something serious about having to set goals that appeal to balance. Spiritual, mental development, career goals, personal development goals, financial goals, physical wellness. At a point where there's so much depression, so much social media causing havoc here and there to people, placing undue expectation, unrealistic expectations to young people, including young couples, all right? So much pressure. There's so much mental detox that has to happen. As a matter of fact, it has to happen every single, I don't know how you're going to do it, but you have to find a way to detoxify your mind every week. It has to be a goal. So if comedy works for you, find a way. Because the pressure for some people is real. The burden they have, the problem they have is not lack of money. There's money. But you see, when they go home, the things they can't say to people in their faith-based organization, some people can't even open their mouth to say certain things to their spouses. They're dealing with things, caging them alone, especially guys. Women know how to talk. They know how to talk to their friends, open up. But guys, because of ego, they don't want others to see them weak. Just don't want to. I'm telling you that I'm the only human being in my household that had the privilege of seeing my father's eye red and seeing tears drop, and nobody else. And it was because of a typical mentoring question. In fact, one of the things I'd learned from my mentors that one of the ways to engage your mentor is to ask the right question. When I approached my father as my mentor that day, I went with questions because it's the law of mentoring. One of the things I had to learn through a mentor. Write your questions down before you go. And the deeper the question, the better the answers they will get. It says it's just like garbage in, garbage out. So what you ask is what will demand the wisdom from them. I don't want to go into details, but that night was an eureka night for me. We went on sitting in front of that house till about 11 in the night talking. That's the longest 3.5 hours I'd ever spent with my father in all of his lifetime. But it was a blessing that I never forget. Wheel of life. So these 7 areas are massive. Spiritual growth, personal development goals, career goals. Of course, we've spoken about career Um, that's so these are the 7 areas I've always done. Always done. All right. I'm doing health now. Initially, I started with once a year. Now I'm doing 2 health checkups in a year. Basically, just doing 2 health checkups in a year. Yeah. Some people go to the hospital when they are sick. I found out that the wealthy people they don't go to the hospital rather. The doctors come to check them even when they are healthy. It's a structure. All right. The doctors even know. The doctors will call them to let them know, sir, you're due for a checkup because it's already part of their routine. The British monarch, they live long. How do you think Queen Elizabeth lived very long? They had doctors. Some of us love football. Cristiano Ronaldo at 38, scoring 52 or 53 goals in a year, outscoring every human being who plays football on the planet Earth professionally. That is no fluke, especially when you understand that in Cristiano Ronaldo's house, he has full paid physios staying with him. Doctors live in his house, full paid staff. Not that they don't go to work and come. They live in his house. All right. If you saw the picture from Christmas, all right, on that staircase that for those of us who saw his picture, his Christmas picture he shared in the last couple of weeks, some of those people that are sitting there are paid staff. His family members there are very few. Those other people there are paid staff. That's one of the most disciplined sportsmen to have ever lived, that Cristiano Ronaldo. Not one tattoo on his body. Why? Because it says, when I die, I want my lung, my kidney, I want it distributed. And once a tattoo goes on his body, you can't give his organs out anymore. What discipline? Sheer discipline. And that's the difference between a talented Messi. So for those who are Messi fans, I'm a Ronaldo fan all the way, and I love Messi as well. But I love the work ethic. I love the discipline. I love the fact that the goals he set for himself, he put himself under pressure to consistently get better every year. All right. So 2024 is a new year for many things, new habits, new savings, new marriages. I trust some people's wedding bells are ringing as well this year. All manner of new things are happening this year. All right. Many new things, new habits, new decisions to be made, and what have you. But also, it's a consolidation, an improvement, scaling up of the things that we've done over the years. And I mentioned that. So you're going to look at what you started this year, what you want to start, what you want to stop, and what you want to continue. So there are many bad habits or a few that need to stop. I'll give an example. If you're kind of a person who is always binging on Netflix, way into the night, as late as 1 a.m., 2 a.m., you might want to stop that. Entertainment is good, but you see that habit is a very bad one, not just for your work, but also for your health. All right. It has been shown the lesser sleep you have, all right, you become unhealthier. All right. You become cranky. It's the ripple effect is so much. In fact, it is said that if you sleep healthy, you are more creative. So you are more useful to your team and organization if you rest well. So if you have a bad habit of seeing a series late into the night, and it's not like you do it once in a while, you don't do it on Friday night when you can now sleep on Saturday. You do it Monday. Then you'll be sleeping 4 hours, 5 hours, thinking you are still in university. All right. When we used to sleep 3 hours. No, we're not that age anymore. No, we're not. So even if we say we're young professionals and you are still in your 20s, please still know that you are not a teenager anymore. There are many things that you used to do before that you cannot do now. You cannot do now. So you need to stop certain things. That is part of goal setting. In fact, until this is in place, those goals and those lovely pictures on the wall on our vision board are useless until decisions back up the quality of the decisions. I mean, discipline that we need to take throughout the year. Fancy vision boards are useless. Useless. It's a waste of time. All right. Waste of time. So this is my final app, and I know that I've done quite a lot right now. I don't even know how much time I've used anymore again, but let me just wrap up here. We're talking ruthless execution, and that's the final lap. When we have people check their goals and they say, I did a 4, I did a 3, I did a 1, all right? The question that needs to be asked is why? So of course, we've had a list of why goals fail. One of those reasons goals fail is lack of discipline to continue to execute. All right? Lack of discipline. Lack of discipline. Literally. So whether the goal is unrealistic or not, with discipline, there's a way you can pursue an unrealistic goal. It will look as if you're almost getting it right. Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of people do not have discipline. The people who have natural discipline are called cholerics. They have natural discipline wired into them. Me, as a sanguine, I am primarily a sanguine. That's I'm an outgoing, relatable person, but I'm also a phlegmatic. So I'm sorry, melancholy. So I'm a sang male. All right. My wife is more a phlegco. She's phlegmatic and choleric at the same time. So we're two different characteristics. But here's the thing. All right. Sanguines have natural indiscipline. Cholerics have natural discipline. I'm telling you. Sanguines procrastinate. Sanguines spend money anyhow. Sanguine waste time. Sanguines go late for meetings. Sanguines, if it is you I'm describing, in fact, let me just put this there. A sanguine might not see you for a long time. I'm not seeing Olayinka for a very long time. We're friends, oh. But all of a sudden, I just meet him, and it will be as if I saw him yesterday. Because the way I will start talking, man, anybody who's seen us will think, this guy is just saw just last night. That's a gift of a sanguine. We're the life of a party. A good sanguine walks into this room where I am right now with the melancholy behavior, and they bring a life with them. They change the atmosphere. That's a sanguine for you. So they have their good sides. But when it comes to time and execution, procrastination is among their weaknesses, our weaknesses. But I don't have it again, so it's among their weaknesses. It took time to work on that, man. It took time. It took time. All right. So why must I accomplish my goals? Let me scale through this. All right. So ruthless execution is very important. Goal setting is not enough. This lovely vision board will waste its time on the wall, except I develop a winning mentality. So that's number one. A winning mentality is required, and I can do it mentality. So I look at that very scary goal and I make up my mind that I can do it. Number two, I develop staying power. Yeah, this is the one that has 6. So I'm on number 2 already, and I should be done with the 6th one. I develop staying power. Staying power. All right. In other words, call it grit. Grit. That's resilience. All right. This is what grit is. Sustained, consistent effort. Sustained, consistent effort. All right. Towards our goal. Even when we're dealing with discouragement, grit keeps us going. These 2 words right here. In fact, if you have grit and resilience, you can forget all the other ones. I'm telling you, there's one other one you need to add. But if you have grit and resilience, grit and resilience means that you have a winning mentality already. So number 1 and number 2 are already together. Grit is what keeps you going. It's a positive character trait based on an individual's passion for a particular long-term goal. All right? Very, very key. I don't want to go into all the details. By the time you go over it, you will see all this. You can go study grit. There's a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth. Angela Duckworth, all right? She's the mother of the subject of grit. She's a consultant to people like Cristiano Ronaldo and many athletes around the world. She wrote the book on grit, and now it's becoming a very serious issue in many business schools all over the world. Number 3, embrace the process. Please, this is good. So let me take on Jennifer, if she's still on the call. A1. Look at this. While you are working on your goal, the process is working on you. What that means basically is the fact that even if you started and didn't finish, all right, you are far better than someone who never started. So anyway, you actually have achieved something. You started. So let's move a 1 to a 2 to a 3 to a 4. If we ask the same question January next year or December this year, let it be that you have moved to a 5. Let it be that you have moved to a 6, to a 7 on your on a scale of 1 to 10, how you achieve your goals. All right? How you achieve your goals. So embrace the process. Please do not look down on that process. All right? Do not look down on that process. So there's avoiding shortcuts. Don't. Simple example. I want to exercise every day for 1 hour. And I didn't exercise Monday through to Friday. And then all of a sudden, I did 5 straight hours of exercising on Saturday. That's shortcut. And that's jumping the process. Because the outcome, the result is not as important as the process. Yeah, it's the process that is the most important. Okay? So every day and in every way, please, wherever you are, can we say this together? Just say it. You don't have to turn on your mic. Every day and in every way, I am getting better and better. I am getting better and better. So, yeah, routines. Every day, I'm getting better and better. Routines. Now, this is important because there's a temperament type, and that's my temperament type again. Sanguines don't like routines. We get easily bored. You're on the job for 5 years. Those 5 years is like hell. I wish I can do something else. We switch careers very easily. We're not disciplined enough to build, to stay, to grow. All right? We switch very easily, very, very easily. Very easily. We're running away from things. We're trying to do new things at every given time because we're bored. We don't like routines. All right? But anyone who is going to achieve their results must embrace routines. All right? And number 4, they must master their time. Again, the subject of routine shows up. All right? Success is predictable when your routine is sustainable. So when you have a schedule, you have routines, then of course you can predict the outcome. Just let me see your what you do every day, and I can tell you what you'll be in the next 10 or 5 years. All right. So number 5 is that you must deal with procrastination, you must deal with distraction, you must deal with time wasters. And I've talked about your phone already. All right. I put that one there because that device is one of the biggest distractions right now. For those of us, some of us in this room have been on this call right now. Some of us may have been in and out of WhatsApp already. All right, WhatsApp status, Instagram. Yeah, you see those blogs, those sites, Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp status. Someone told me that she spends 2 hours every day on WhatsApp status. I said, what are you doing? She said, just enjoying people's WhatsApp status. 2 hours. WhatsApp status. Kilonshe, what are you doing there? Are they sharing food on the status? So, data is life. As I can do without food, but I can't do without data. I agree. But you see that same phone is where our grandparents in fact, they didn't have access to what we have access to now. It was Bill Gates that says the time will come when you can take a 4-year university degree on your phone in 3 months. All right? I wish I had time to say some things to you, honestly, scary things. I can't go into all of those details. I can't. But for years, I just said this, for years I was training. I was groomed, raised by some of the finest in this country, including Professor Pat, who told me of the Lagos Business School. I was training one day, and after the training, somebody asked me during the break what school I went to. And he didn't ask that question talking about Nigerian schools because he had been, I think it was in one of those schools. And another one close to him had been in Stanford. I mean, this was a very big company. And all of a sudden, he started bringing out their Ivy League status. And they said, you sound like somebody must have been, I started laughing. In fact, I laughed so hard that friend said, why you sound like it? So I asked them, I said, do I need to have been to Harvard to be able to sound or deliver to you what I'm delivering? He said, that's the truth is education is key. So I said, is there a correlation between education and schooling? Can someone be educated without going to school? The person said yes. I said, so what if I've been schooled and I've had to do a lot of that development myself? The guy looked at me and said, no, it's not possible. So I quoted what I just said to him, to you now. I said, Bill Gates said in his book, Business at the Speed of Light, he said that a time is coming when we will take a 4-year degree course on our phones in 3 months. So that means I can take an MBA of 18 months. I can do it in 1 month. And there are books like that. Some of us have them in our shelf. MBA for dummies. What they teach in Harvard Business School, all those things, they are right there. So when you see some of us on shelves and they're loaded with those things, and somebody said, and at the time they were asking me that question, I had never been out of the country. I didn't even have a Nigerian passport at that time. That was what was making me laugh. And though it was testament, it was proof of the fact that if I invested in myself, it didn't matter. I'll be able to relate with anybody around the world. And so that's what I'm saying. This phone that you think data is life is also the life that can change your life and your unborn generations. So please use it well in 2024. Please use the phone well. All right. Don't just stay around Telemundo and all of those things. Another professional I know, she works in a bank. She says when she gets home, she's binging on some Telemundo stuff. And she also does one Indian one as well. So between the hours of 7 and 10, she's seen different soap operas, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. 3 straight hours every single day. That's what she uses her evening for. I said, cut that thing down to 1 hour. Do 7 to 8 or 8 to 9. Do what works for you. But if you take 1 hour out of those 3 and you invest 1 hour every day into your professional life, thank me after 12 months. Just thank me. I don't have to say too much. There's so much crazy data here about the danger of phones and on people's professional lives. I don't want to waste that time. All right. And of course, there are more time wasters. All right. Many, many more time wasters. But on the 6 years, I must have zero tolerance for excuses. No excuse. No excuse. It rained. That's why I came late. There was no light. That's all manner of things that that are possible. And if you look at that, excuses are demoralizers, they ground initiatives, they institutionalize mediocrity and laziness, they stall progress. We must say no to them. And then, of course, the final part is that we must build systems around our goals. And what is the system in this case? What you see in red there, please focus on that. Every little step that you do on a consistent basis that helps you achieve your goal is a system. Every little step. You can read the other part much later, all right? Read that part much later. So what a system does is that it literally provides small, consistent wins. So you're jogging. Instead of trying to jog 5 hours in January, no, don't do 5 hours. Oh. No, don't do like that. Do like a marathoner. Go and do 10 minutes. Take brisk walk and come back. Because that wanting to do initial graduate is what used to kill people. So take it gradually. Pace into it. Pace into it. Pace yourself. All right? Systems are continuous. Systems provide you with specific steps. Beautiful. And I love this part of it. It's still part of the system. The major system you must put in place this year is accountability partner. So Jennifer, I'm calling your name again because you're one of the few persons that honestly responded on the lower rung of a scale of 1 to 10. One of the crucial parts of succeeding with your goals, with your vision board in 2024 is for you to get an accountability partner. When you do this, what you do is that you offer your goal to somebody who is not going to discourage you, but will be checking on you. All right? A goal that you don't tell anybody, you will not, be responsible for. Okay? So you can only hold yourself accountable to the goals that somebody else knows. And they tell, so you are supposed to do this in February. Have you started it? If the person is not checking on you, take that person out of your accountability partner list and get someone else. If you don't have anybody like that, look for a mentor, a sincere mentor, not a tormentor. All right? That is what my 2024 is about. It's quite long, I know, but please, I'm on my knees begging you. When you take your time to listen to this again, all right? When you take your time to listen to this again, please ensure that you give it a little more, all right? A little more attention, step by step. Remember when we started this particular second side from? He said, who is he that wants to build a tower? Won't he first sit down to count the cost? Yeah. Part of what this has been is you're sitting down. One of the reasons goals do not succeed, one of the reasons why vision boards become useless is poor planning. And poor planning can be traced to poor information. You know? And now there's information. I trust that we can sit down now to plan. A tower building assignment is not a bungalow building assignment. It's not 2 stories, not 3 stories. Tower is tower. 10 stories, 15, 20 stories. Yeah. So as we continue our tower building assignment, because that's what some of our lives are about. And for those who don't know their lives are a tower building assignment, you need to know how special you are. God put us here not just to groove and flex ourselves, but also to add value to the world that is dying around us. The world is in dire need of positive role models. And so if the Creator has given you access to a beautiful job, use it as a platform to literally influence the world around you. All right. So this for me has been an amazing time. I take it as a huge, huge, huge privilege and honor to share this time with you. In fact, what you don't know is that I was 1 hour earlier. I came into this room 1 hour before most of the people here. Mr. Olayinka can testify to that. By 2 o'clock, I'd already called him. And I said, I'm ready. Send me the link. All right. I had no idea it was 3. I forgot. So I had left. I had come back to the house, positioned myself, and I've been waiting. Because I take this particular kind of assignment very seriously. And any opportunity to speak to people is an honor for me. I don't take it as a, privilege that, because you are one good speaker. No. It's just a privilege. And some of the things that have touched my life is what I'm sharing. All right? Touched my life. I have literally enjoyed goal setting. It's one of the things that has worked for me. I would love to recommend, like I said at the beginning, that this particular training should be done from November this year. Either you do it late November or you do it early December. I'll tell you why. Goals are meant to be executed from January 1st. In fact, I did not recommend this because I wanted to recommend this last. The book is titled Goals by Brian Tracy. Goals by Brian Tracy. Please read it. Though I'll be the first to say, if Brian Tracy was to edit that book now, there are certain things in that book that he will write differently, like long-term goals. Though they're still very, very applicable, but he will do some things a little differently. But whatever the case is, I still read that book in November this year. Every November, that's one of my reads. I'll suggest that from the 3rd quarter, so let it be with you October and November. By the end of November, you're done with that book. You don't rush through it. Then I want to again, please, without making my friend Jennifer look bad or feel bad, and I'm grateful that one of the things I'm going to recommend for you to do is to go and buy the book, Eat That Frog. Eat That Frog. So I was speaking to one of my proteges who works in a bank. In fact, I was in the banking hall with her in December, and she was complaining how she didn't get to fulfill some of the goals on it. So I asked her the same question on a scale of 1 to 10. And she said for many of them, she did 7, she tried, and some others. And the ones she did not try, I could tell, I knew why she was very angry, because she needed to have gone past that level before she got to January this year. So I was encouraging her. So she said, sir, please, what do I do? I said, I'm not going to talk too much because I've sat with you. I've taken you through the presentation. I've led you through it. I recommended goals to you. Now I'm going to recommend another book. So I said, get that book, Eat That Frog. And good enough, she said, Eat That Frog was in her boss's library. So as I went out of the banking hall, she sent me a message on WhatsApp that her boss had it and she had picked it up from his office. She took permission. Now, a few days later, she sent another message saying, I see the missing link. This is helping me to execute. I think that's something I did not have. So if you're interested in execution, Eat That Frog. Get that book, Brian Tracy. It is not everything that we've learned over the years, all right? For a sanguine that used to be a serious procrastinator, I used to be a time waster and a money waster. Big one at that, because I'm a heavy sanguine, all right? But when people see me now, they can't even believe I'm sanguine because I've worked on me. It took time to work on this guy that's talking to you now. So please let me beg you. Some of the things that I've learned over the years, I cannot even say all of them in 2 hours. 3 hours will not be enough. So I'm recommending those books that you pick them up. So with that being said, I want to thank all of you who have stayed on this call this long. God bless you. Have a fantastic 2024. And by the time we're saying at the end of the year, all right, it will be good. So please don't forget, I'm recommending you do this particular event at the end of the year, not in the new year, so that by January 1st, you can give people the permission to begin to execute already. Thank you very much. Bye.